And thank you.
Hi, I'm Haihua.
And Jeff Baker.
We're the authors for Think Like Chinese. We would really love you to take a few minutes and share with us what we're writing about the book and why we want you to read the book. And we thank you to invest your invaluable time. My background is mainly in corporate. I was born in China, and then I lived and worked in Sydney, Australia for about 10 years. The catalyst for me for the book is that I have read and studied all these books and went to conferences. People were talking about China, about the secrets of doing successful business in China. But to me, a lot of the things were said about are mostly superficial things. They didn't really truly appreciate or share the insights of where the Chinese coming from or where we come from, because the underlying Chinese thinking and certain perspectives are very, very different to the Western or the developed countries' thinking. So, and with Jeff, we start to share our very different perspectives through two pair of different lenses.
Yeah, it used to irritate me a lot. Having lived in Beijing now for 6 years, we kept reading books about China by people written in America or London or sitting remotely from where all the action is actually happening. So we felt that there was actually a need to describe to people coming here doing business as to what is actually happening on the ground, what is taking place before us, and why there is so much frustration with the development of China and the Chinese economy. And so we believed that there was a need to explain to people what is the difference in doing business here compared to the difference in say, the West or any other country. And therefore we focused on Chinese thinking that is different to Western thinking applied to business. Of course, there's a lot of overlap and there's a lot of standard things that people in China do as to people in the West do. We avoided discussions of that and looked at where there are stark differences to give people a better insight, both with Chinese eyes and Western eyes, looking at how these problems occur in doing business in China.
And the way we structured the book is in an easy reading, friendly format. So we open up and look at putting history, putting China into perspective. And the opening chapter, we use the saying of Confucius that if you would like to know about the future, you go to the past. So it's to put things in perspective. We strongly recommend that if you want to do business in China or just interested in learning something about this country, which is causing so much discussions around the globe, maybe you need to read and at least have a basic understanding of a Chinese history and where the Chinese coming from. And then we go to the contemporary China. We have a look at what's going on, and then we go into leadership issue, work ethics, dispute resolution. So each chapter we will relate to one or two, and there are many Chinese sayings in the chapter to give you a real Chinese perspective, as in how the Chinese really think about these things.
We found it amusing with a lot of the colleagues that we've been talking to in China about how we describe Chinese thinking, that a lot of Chinese don't like us delivering this message because it's something that's very personal to Chinese and the attitude of Chinese. But we feel that this is something worth revealing to people in the West to get them to clearly understand what it all means and why Chinese only tell you 1/3 of what's on their mind when they're actually delivering a message to you. And conversely, why, if a Westerner comes to be transparent and be honest and be direct, it's completely the wrong thing to be doing when you're dealing with Chinese in business, because they'll either not believe you, or if you are being open and direct, they'll think you're completely stupid. So there are issues that we touch on. There's stories that we've lived through, businesses we've been involved in that have succeeded, that have failed. And it's those lessons that we've learned that we wanted to pass on to our readers.
And there are many comments or observations or sayings about China. And one we liked is if you're not in China for 6 months, you're out of date. So really, for you to, we hope this book is an appetizer for our reader to get a taste of what China is like and what the Chinese people are like. And then hopefully by the time you finish reading this book, you will come to China, or it'll help you to understand your Chinese employees or your partners better. So when you're either on a negotiation table with them, or you're eating one of the many Chinese banquets with them, you will be more tolerant and understanding, appreciative of where they come from. So it's all about respect, and deep down we're all the same. So the more you appreciate and understand where the Chinese coming from, the more feedback, the more support you will get from your partners or relationships.
So I suppose the final message is that we want you to understand the history, the culture, the philosophies that drive the Chinese mind, to better understand how to do business here, but also, more importantly as well, how to understand to do business with Chinese when they come to your doorstep over in your country and start to globalise as they're now moving towards. So it's a book about understanding Chinese business, be it here in China or internationally.
And be able to think like Chinese when you want to.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I think that was pretty damn